Marcus Rodriguez had always been the kind of person who noticed things others missed. Working the late shift at the radio telescope facility in New Mexico, he spent his nights listening to the whispers of distant stars while the rest of the world slept. On this particular Tuesday evening in October, something extraordinary happened that would change not just his life, but the course of human history. The first sign came at 11:47 p.m. Marcus was reviewing signal patterns from the Andromeda sector when his equipment detected something impossible. The radio waves weren't random cosmic background noise. They were structured, mathematical, deliberate. Someone, or something, was broadcasting a message directly at Earth. Marcus rubbed his tired eyes and checked the readings again. The signal was getting stronger, more focused. His hands trembled as he began the standard protocol for potential extraterrestrial contact. But, before he could complete the first verification step, every screen in the facility went dark. Emergency power kicked in moments later, bathing the control room in red light. Marcus reached for his phone to call his supervisor, Dr. Sarah Chen, but stopped when he noticed something incredible outside the observation dome. A massive silver craft, easily the size of 3 football stadiums, descended silently through the desert sky. Its hull reflected the moonlight like liquid mercury, and strange geometric patterns pulsed with blue energy along its surface. The ship landed in the valley beyond the facility with surprising gentleness for something so enormous. Marcus watched in amazement as a section of the craft's hull became transparent, revealing beings moving inside. They were tall, elegant creatures with elongated limbs and skin that seemed to shimmer between silver and deep purple. Their movements were graceful, almost dance-like, as they prepared what appeared to be some kind of ceremonial chamber. Marcus knew he should run, hide, or at least call for help. Instead, he found himself walking toward the exit. Something about the alien's presence felt oddly peaceful, not threatening. As he stepped outside into the cool desert air, the silence was profound. No insects chirped, no wind stirred the sagebrush. Even his own footsteps seemed muted. The largest alien, clearly their leader, stood nearly 8 feet tall. She wore what could only be described as living armor that moved and flowed like water while maintaining its protective form. Her face was both beautiful and alien, with large eyes that held depths of intelligence Marcus had never seen in any human. When she looked directly at him across the distance, he felt a strange tingling in his mind, as if she was gently touching his thoughts. Without warning, a beam of soft light enveloped Marcus. He expected to feel afraid, but instead experienced a sensation of being carefully examined by a benevolent presence. Images flashed through his mind: his childhood in rural Texas, his struggles to afford college, his dedication to searching for life among the stars, his quiet acts of kindness that he thought no one noticed. The examination lasted only moments, but Marcus sensed it was thorough. The alien queen, for that's how he instinctively thought of her, tilted her head in what seemed like approval. She raised one elegant hand, and Marcus heard her voice in his mind, speaking perfect English despite her mouth never moving. Marcus Rodriguez of Earth, her mental voice was warm and resonant, like music made of thoughts. You have been chosen. Your species stands at a crossroads, and we require a representative to speak for humanity. Will you come willingly to stand before our council? Marcus found his voice, though it came out as barely a whisper. Why me? I'm nobody special. I just listen to radio signals. The Queen's expression, while alien, somehow conveyed gentle amusement. You listen not just to signals from space, Marcus Rodriguez. You listen to the needs of others. You give your lunch money to homeless veterans. You volunteer at the animal shelter on your days off. You care for your aging mother without complaint. These qualities make you exactly what we seek. The revelation that these beings had been observing humanity so closely should have terrified Marcus, but instead it filled him with wonder. What kind of council? What do you want from us? The galaxy contains many species, young human. Some peaceful, some decidedly not. Earth's rapid technological development has attracted attention. We are the Ethereal Confederation, guardians of younger species. Tonight, we decide whether humanity is ready to join the galactic community, or whether your world needs more time to mature. Your testimony will be crucial to this decision. Marcus looked back at the radio facility where he'd spent so many quiet nights dreaming of this exact moment. Then, he looked at the magnificent ship and the beings who had traveled across the stars to find him, of all people. The weight of representing his entire species should have crushed him, but somehow it felt right, like everything in his life had led to this moment. If I go with you, will I be able to come back? Will my friends and family know what happened to me? The Queen's large eyes showed compassion. The choice is yours, Marcus Rodriguez. But understand that if you decline, we will select another. Time is precious, and there are forces gathering that do not wish humanity well. Your voice could make the difference between Earth's ascension and its destruction. Marcus took a deep breath of desert air, possibly his last breath on Earth for a while. He thought of his mother, who would worry when he didn't call. He thought of Dr. Chen, who would find his shift abandoned. But he also thought of every human being on the planet, unaware that their future hung in the balance. I'll come, he said, surprised by the steadiness in his own voice. But I want to understand everything. I want to know what I'm walking into. The alien queen's approval was evident even across the species barrier. Courage and wisdom. These are why the cosmic resonance patterns identified you among all your species. Come, Marcus Rodriguez. Let us prepare you for what lies ahead. As Marcus walked toward the ship, each step took him further from everything he'd ever known and closer to a destiny he never could have imagined. The geometric patterns on the hull pulsed brighter as he approached, as if the ship itself was welcoming him aboard. Behind him, the radio telescope continued its endless vigil, listening to the stars. But, tonight, the stars had answered back. The entrance to the ship appeared as he drew near, a seamless opening in what had seemed like solid metal moments before. Marcus paused at the threshold, taking one last look at Earth's moon hanging in the desert sky. Tomorrow, he might be looking down at Earth from somewhere unimaginably far away. The thought was both terrifying and exhilarating. Your journey begins now, chosen one, the Queen's voice whispered in his mind as Marcus stepped aboard the vessel that would carry him toward his extraordinary destiny. The interior of the ship defied every expectation Marcus had formed about alien technology. Instead of cold metal corridors and blinking lights, he found himself in what could only be described as a living garden suspended in space. Crystalline walls curved organically around them, filled with swirling patterns of light that seemed to respond to the emotions of those nearby. Bioluminescent plants grew along the walkways, their gentle glow providing all the illumination needed. Your science fiction entertainments have curious ideas about starship design, the Queen observed, noting Marcus's amazement. We learned long ago that beings thrive in environments that nurture both body and spirit. This ship is grown, not built. It lives, breathes, and cares for those within it. Marcus reached out to touch one of the glowing plants, and it responded by brightening and releasing a subtle, pleasing fragrance. How is this possible? The energy requirements alone should be impossible. Your species thinks in terms of consuming and depleting, another voice said. Marcus turned to see a smaller alien approaching them, this one with skin that shifted between gold and green hues. We learned to partner with the universe rather than fight it. The ship draws energy from quantum fluctuations, stellar radiation, even the joy of those aboard. Everything gives and receives in balance. The Queen gestured toward their new companion. This is Keeper Ythra, our chief archivist and cultural interpreter. She will help you understand what you're about to experience. Ythra studied Marcus with eyes that held ancient wisdom despite her youthful appearance. The Council of Spheres consists of representatives from 47 different species. Each will test you in their own way, seeking to understand not just your individual character, but whether humanity as a whole is ready for the responsibilities that come with galactic citizenship. As they walked deeper into the ship, Marcus began to grasp the magnitude of what lay ahead. What kinds of tests? And what happens if humanity fails? The Queen's mental voice grew somber. Failed species are typically quarantined until they mature sufficiently. Their worlds are protected by energy barriers that prevent both escape and outside interference. It is not a punishment, but a necessary precaution. Some species have remained quarantined for millennia. And the alternative? Ythera's coloring shifted to warmer tones, suggesting optimism. Membership in the Confederation brings protection, knowledge, and purpose. Your people would gain access to technologies that could end poverty, disease, and environmental destruction within decades. But it also brings obligations. Member species must contribute to the defense of younger civilizations and help maintain peace in the galaxy. They entered a vast chamber at the ship's heart, where Marcus saw something that took his breath away. A three-dimensional star map filled the entire space, showing thousands of star systems connected by glowing pathways. Some pulsed with warm colors, while others flickered with warning reds or remained dark entirely. Each light represents a species, the Queen explained. The warm colors show Confederation members. The red warnings mark aggressive civilizations that we monitor carefully. The dark areas are species that have quarantined themselves or been quarantined by us. Marcus studied the display, trying to locate Earth's solar system. When he found it, his heart sank. Their section of space was surrounded by red warning zones. We're completely surrounded by hostile species? The hegemony of Scythian lies to your galactic north, Ythera said, pointing to a cluster of angry red stars. They are conquerors who consume the resources of worlds and enslave the survivors. The Void Collective occupies the space to your south. They are artificial intelligences that view organic life as inefficient and seek to convert or eliminate it. The Queen's expression grew grave. To your east are the flesh renders, who see other species only as sources of genetic material for their twisted experiments. And, to the west, the Eternal Empire, which has existed for 10,000 years by draining the life force from younger civilizations. The full weight of Earth's situation crashed down on Marcus. Humanity wasn't just seeking membership in some galactic club. They were applying for protection against forces that could destroy them without a second thought. How long do we have before they notice us? Your radio and television signals have been propagating outward for nearly a century, Ythera explained gently. The Scythian have already detected them. Our intelligence suggests they plan to launch an invasion within your next 50 years, once they finish conquering the Altarian system. Marcus felt sick. 50 years? That's not enough time for us to develop any meaningful defenses. Which is why the Confederation exists, the Queen said firmly. But we cannot simply impose protection upon unwilling species. Galactic law requires that we test each species for compatibility before extending membership. Too many civilizations have been corrupted by receiving power before they were ready to use it wisely. The ship shuddered gently, and Marcus realized they were accelerating. Through the transparent sections of the hull, he could see Earth falling away below them, a blue marble suspended in the cosmic dark. The sight filled him with a profound mix of homesickness and determination. Tell me about these tests, Marcus said, forcing himself to focus on the challenge ahead rather than the enormity of what was at stake. Ythera created a holographic display showing various alien species. Each council member will present you with a scenario that tests a different aspect of human nature. The Christine Collective will test your capacity for logic and reason. The Empathic Chorus will examine your emotional intelligence and compassion. The Ancient Minds will probe your wisdom and long-term thinking. What are they looking for specifically? The Queen paused, choosing her words carefully. Many species develop impressive technology before developing the wisdom to use it properly. They conquer disease but create overpopulation. They achieve space travel but spread war to other worlds. They gain the power of gods while retaining the hearts of children. Marcus understood. You want to know if we'll be responsible galactic citizens or dangerous children with powerful toys? Precisely. But, Marcus Rodriguez, you must understand something crucial. You are not just answering for yourself. Everything you say and do will be taken as representative of your entire species. The Council will judge humanity's character based on yours. The pressure was overwhelming, but Marcus drew strength from an unexpected source. Every night at the radio telescope, he dreamed of this moment of contact with alien intelligence. Now that it was here, he realized that his whole life had been preparation for it. His struggles, his choices, his quiet acts of kindness, they had all led to this. How much time do I have to prepare? The journey to the Council Nexus will take 18 of your hours, Ythra replied. During that time, we will share with you the full history of the galaxy, the stories of species that passed and failed their trials, and the knowledge you'll need to represent humanity effectively. As if responding to her words, the chamber around them began to shift and change. New holographic displays appeared, showing the rise and fall of civilizations across millions of years. Marcus saw species that had ascended to incredible heights of technology and wisdom, and others that had destroyed themselves before ever leaving their home worlds. The learning process will be intensive, the Queen warned. We will need to download vast amounts of information directly into your mind. It may be uncomfortable at first. Marcus nodded, steel entering his voice. I can handle it. Just tell me what humanity needs to do to survive this. The Queen's approval was evident as she placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. The touch sent waves of alien thoughts and memories flowing into his mind, beginning his crash course in galactic history and politics. As the knowledge flooded through him, Marcus held on to one central truth: somewhere behind them, 7 billion humans lived their daily lives completely unaware that their future hung in the balance. He would not let them down. The ship raced through the cosmic darkness toward the Council Nexus, carrying humanity's lone representative toward the most important examination in the species' history. Marcus Rodriguez, former radio telescope operator from New Mexico, was about to become the voice that would determine whether mankind joined the galaxy as equals or faced the darkness alone. The Council Nexus defied description in any human language. Marcus stood at the observation deck of the Queen's ship, staring at a structure that seemed to exist partially outside normal space. Massive geometric forms rotated slowly around a central core, each one representing a different member species of the Confederation. Energy bridges connected the structures, allowing representatives to move between them like streams of living light. The Nexus exists in 11 dimensions simultaneously, Ythra explained, noting Marcus's confusion. What you see is only the portion that your mind can process. The full structure extends into realms of reality that humans haven't discovered yet. Marcus felt the weight of 18 hours of intensive mental downloads. His brain buzzed with information about galactic history, diplomatic protocols, and the stories of dozens of species that had stood where he now stood. Some had succeeded and flourished. Others had failed catastrophically, their worlds now silent monuments to their inability to grow beyond their primitive instincts. The Queen approached, her expression mixing encouragement with concern. Remember, Marcus Rodriguez, the Council will try to provoke you. They will present scenarios designed to reveal the worst aspects of human nature. Your task is not to deny these flaws exist, but to show that humanity can overcome them. As their ship docked with the central platform, Marcus felt his heart racing. Through the mental link the aliens had shared with him, he could sense the presence of 47 vastly different intelligences, each one ancient beyond human comprehension, each one preparing to judge his species. The docking bay opened onto a corridor that seemed to stretch infinitely in all directions. Beings of incredible diversity moved through the space with purpose. Marcus saw creatures made of living crystal, energy beings that existed as pure thought, and others so alien that his enhanced vision could barely process their forms. Do not be overwhelmed by their strangeness, the Queen advised. Focus on the universal constants: intelligence, curiosity, the capacity for growth. These things connect all conscious beings, regardless of their physical form. They entered the main council chamber, a spherical room where gravity seemed to work differently depending on where you stood. Representatives from dozens of species occupied positions throughout the three-dimensional space, some hanging from the ceiling, others embedded in the walls, all oriented according to their species' preferred environment. At the chamber's center, a podium appeared as they approached. Marcus realized with a start that this was where he would stand to address the council. The weight of representing all humanity settled on his shoulders like a physical burden. The first to address him was the representative of the Christine Collective, a being that looked like a walking geometric theorem made of living diamond. When it spoke, its voice resonated with pure mathematical harmony. Human Marcus Rodriguez, your species has developed atomic weapons within decades of learning to fly. You wage war over resources that could easily support your entire population if distributed efficiently. Explain why such an illogical species deserves our protection. Marcus took a deep breath, drawing on the wisdom that 18 hours of alien knowledge downloading had provided. You're absolutely right about our flaws. We are often illogical, wasteful, and violent. But you're judging us by the standards of species that have had millions of years to evolve beyond those traits. Humans are barely 10,000 years removed from hunting and gathering. We've progressed from stone tools to space travel in the blink of an eye, galactically speaking. The crystalline being pulsed with different colors as it processed this response. Rapid development often leads to rapid self-destruction. But it also leads to rapid adaptation, Marcus countered. Yes, we developed weapons, but we also developed medicine, art, literature, music. We've begun to recognize our environmental mistakes and work to correct them. We're learning to see beyond tribal differences and work together as a species. The very fact that I'm here proves we're capable of growth. A new voice entered the conversation, this one emanating from what appeared to be a small cloud of glowing gas. I am the speaker for the empathic chorus. Your species shows great capacity for compassion toward those you consider part of your group. But you also show tremendous cruelty toward those you consider outsiders. How do we know you won't simply expand your tribal thinking to see all other species as threats? This question cut deeper, touching on humanity's darkest impulses. Marcus thought of Earth's history of slavery, genocide, and oppression. But he also thought of the countless humans who had fought against these injustices, often sacrificing their own lives to protect others. Our capacity for both cruelty and kindness is exactly why we need guidance from species like yours, Marcus said honestly. We don't claim to be perfect. But look at our trajectory. We've moved from a world where slavery was accepted to one where it's universally condemned. We've gone from seeing different races as separate species to recognizing the fundamental humanity in all people. Yes, we still struggle with these issues, but the direction of our moral evolution is clear. A voice like the rumble of mountains spoke from a massive being that resembled a living planet. I am Ancient Mind Korthera, speaker for the Eternal Stones. We have watched species for millions of years. Young races often speak of their potential for growth, but when faced with real challenges, they revert to their base instincts. What evidence can you provide that humans will be different? Marcus felt the weight of the question. How could he prove humanity's potential to beings that had seen countless species fail? Then, he remembered something from his downloaded knowledge, a story that had particularly moved him. 300 years ago, a species called the Varanki faced a similar evaluation. They were violent, territorial, and had just developed interstellar travel. The council was ready to quarantine them. But their representative told this council about something that happened during their greatest war. Marcus paused, ensuring he had everyone's attention. Two enemy soldiers found themselves trapped together in a collapsed bunker. One was badly injured. The other could have left him to die and escaped. Instead, he spent 3 days caring for his enemy, sharing his water and medical supplies. When rescue came, the caring soldier had grown so weak that he died, but the enemy soldier survived. The chamber fell silent as Marcus continued. That story became legendary among the Varanki. It showed them that even in their darkest moments, they were capable of transcending their tribal instincts. The council gave them membership, and today the Varanki are among your most trusted allies. Ancient Mind Korthera's response rumbled through the chamber. You speak of the Varanki, but what of humanity? Can you provide similar evidence? Marcus smiled, thinking of countless human examples. During our Second World War, a human soldier named Witold Pilecki voluntarily got himself arrested and sent to the most horrific prison camp in human history, just so he could organize resistance and document the atrocities being committed there. He knew he might never escape, but he did it anyway to help people he'd never met. He continued, his voice growing stronger. When the Titanic was sinking, the musicians continued playing to keep people calm, knowing they would die. When one human sees another in danger, their first instinct is often to help, even at the cost of their own safety. We have a saying, there's nothing special about being human, but there's something special about being humane. A new voice joined the discussion, this one musical and ethereal. The speaker appeared to be made of living light that constantly shifted between different colors.
I am Harmony Singer, voice of the melodic union.
Your words paint humanity in favorable light, but actions speak more clearly than words. We have observed your response to the current crisis on your world,
the one you call climate change.
Despite overwhelming evidence of danger, many of your leaders prioritize short-term gain over long-term survival.
How do you explain this apparent lack of wisdom?
Marcus felt the sting of the accusation because it was largely true. You're right that we've been slow to respond to climate change. But you're seeing democracy in action, which is messy and slow but ultimately self-correcting. The majority of humans now understand the threat and are demanding action. Young humans especially are refusing to accept the failures of previous generations. He gestured toward the viewing portal where Earth hung in the distance.
Change is happening.
We're developing renewable energy, changing our consumption patterns, and beginning to see ourselves as caretakers rather than owners of our world.
It's not happening as fast as it should, but it is happening.
Democracy means we have to convince people rather than simply ordering them to change. That's harder, but it creates more lasting solutions.
The questions continued for hours.
Each council member probed different aspects of humanity's character, from their treatment of other species on Earth to their economic systems to their artistic achievements. Marcus answered as honestly as he could, acknowledging human flaws while highlighting humanity's potential for growth. Finally, the Queen herself stepped forward.
The questioning phase is complete.
Now comes the final test.
Marcus Rodriguez, you must choose.
The chamber around them shifted, and Marcus found himself looking at two holographic displays. One showed Earth protected by a shimmering energy barrier, its people unaware that they were essentially in a cosmic zoo, safe but limited. The other showed Earth as part of a vast network of civilizations, its people working alongside aliens to explore the galaxy and protect younger species. You can request quarantine for humanity, the Queen explained. We will protect Earth from external threats while your species has time to mature.
Many species choose this option. There is no shame in recognizing you need more time.
Or? Marcus asked, though he could see the alternative in the second display. Or you can accept full membership now, with all its benefits and responsibilities. But, understand, Marcus Rodriguez, if you choose membership and humanity fails to meet the obligations of citizenship, the consequences will be severe.
Expelled species are not offered quarantine. They face the galaxy alone.
Marcus stared at the two options, feeling the weight of 7 billion lives in his hands. The safe choice was quarantine. Humanity could grow and develop in safety, free from external threats but also cut off from the wonders of galactic civilization. The risky choice was membership, with access to incredible technology and knowledge, but also the obligation to help defend other species and the possibility of catastrophic failure. He thought about the radio telescope where this journey had begun, and all those nights he'd spent listening to the stars and dreaming of contact. He thought about human explorers who had left the safety of their villages to map unknown continents, and astronauts who had risked everything to reach for the moon.
Humanity doesn't want to be safe, Marcus said finally.
We want to grow, to explore, to take our place among the stars. We're not ready for that responsibility yet, but we never will be if we hide behind protective barriers.
We choose membership.
The council chamber erupted in a cacophony of alien voices, some approving, others expressing concern. Through it all, the Queen's mental voice reached Marcus clearly. The vote was close, Marcus Rodriguez, but your words and your choice have convinced enough council members to give humanity a chance.
Welcome to the Confederation.
Marcus felt tears running down his cheeks as he realized what had just happened.
Humanity was no longer alone in the cosmos.
They had allies, protectors, and a chance to become something greater than they had ever imagined.
When do we tell them? Marcus asked. The Queen's expression showed both hope and concern. Slowly. Carefully.
Your species will need time to adjust to the reality of galactic civilization. But adjust they must, because in 47 years, the Scythian invasion fleet will arrive. By then, humanity must be ready to defend not just themselves, but other species who look to the Confederation for protection. As the ship began its journey back to Earth, Marcus looked out at the stars with new understanding. Each point of light might harbor life, intelligence, hopes, and dreams. And, now, humanity was part of that vast community, with all the wonders and responsibilities that entailed. The night that had begun with Marcus listening to radio signals from space had ended with humanity earning its place among the stars.
The real adventure was just beginning.